Hey guys, a lot of you guys have been asking how I got my tattoos or why I got them. So here's the video explaining that. Take one. So first tattoo, I was 14 years old and I made a little tattoo machine out of a guitar string, a mechanical pencil. I used a motor out of my little brother's remote control car. I pulled that out, wired it up to a little D battery. I even put a little button on it, turned it on and off. Taped this whole thing together. I took a Bic pen and I went online and Googled prison ink and used some conditioner and soot and this, that, and the other, and I created my own ink. And I put a smiley face on my leg to test it out. And that is still here today. So that's number one. Number two. Number two was actually my first tattoo that I ever did on the skin. It was in my apprenticeship. So first they had me tattoo an orange, then they had me tattoo some fake skin, and then they had me tattoo my own thigh. So we came into the studio one day, my mentor was like, "Hey, you're tattooing yourself today." And I'm like, "What?" And I was freaking out. So I looked around the studio and I saw on the wall there was a little picture that had the Japanese symbol for strength, and it literally said strength underneath, and I'm like, that's the one. Looked easy, looked simple, and I did it with a really thin liner, and now the lines are just fat, bold, and actually the shading was the first time I ever shaded. I think it looks pretty good. So, tattoo number three was this one, which I got from one of the guys I was working at that first studio that I was apprenticing at. Basically it's supposed to represent my growth away from my addiction to heroin. I have the skulls there to represent my past, the struggles with drug use, drug abuse. The bonsai tree is supposed to represent my growth kind of away from that. Next tattoo would be my video camera, which I got for my grandmother that passed away. Now growing up, my grandmother, she videotaped literally everything. Every moment of my upbringing was caught on video when she was around. And she would pull out the video camera and she'd tell us to say hi, Grandpa Lee, to the video camera because she'd send it over to him over in California. And I just remember literally it got to the point where she wouldn't even have to tell us anymore. The second we saw that video camera in her hands, all us kids would start screaming, "Hi, Grandpa Lee," and start freaking out. And yeah, so that's why I got my video camera that says "Hi, Grandpa Lee" in the banner as a memorial to her. All right, next up, I got my, the letter N in Arabic. The reason I got this one is because the persecuted church, the persecuted Christians over in the Middle East, while they were being persecuted, they would label them with this letter, the Arabic N, signifying that they were associated with Jesus of Nazareth. They would go and paint this symbol on their doors, in whatever, red paint, or I think blood even often, and then that would label them to be martyred or, persecuted. So I got this tattoo to symbolize my allegiance with Jesus of Nazareth as well. Next up, I have my cover up here. I got a rose from a good friend of mine, Cody. The original tattoo I got, I don't know if you all are familiar with the show Breaking Bad. I got the face of Walter White, the little spray painted Heisenberg face. I got that on my forearm here, along with the crystal meth formula. And I thought it was such a brilliant idea. But very quickly, after about a year or two, I was like, wow, that was really stupid. So now I have a big rose covering it up, and I love this rose actually, and you can't see it at all, so thank you, Cody, for that. My next tattoo, I have the octopus here on my forearm. I got this simply because I think octopuses are really cool. Fun fact is my octopus on my forearm has 11 tentacles, not 8. And we did that because it looks awesome, and that's what matters. yeah, I got it holding a tattoo machine, some ink, pencil, paint brushes. So it's just supposed to be an artsy octopus that I think looks awesome. So another reason why I got this tattoo on my forearm was to cover up some scars that I had from my past. I used to self-harm and cut, you know, during my heroin addiction. And, you know, I asked, you know, not only to learn the line work and learn from this guy and have an awesome tattoo, but also to try and get these scars covered. You can still kind of see him through it, but he did a great job at covering them up. Next up on my left forearm, I have my, it's actually an alligator skull. So this was a really cool story, actually. One of the artists that I really admire, his name's Tanane Whitfield. He was having a little seminar, and it was at one of the tattoo conventions locally here. So I signed up for the seminar. You know, it was a couple $100 and everything, and I just went there because I just wanted to learn how he did everything, his whole process. So I signed up, I went in, and one of the first things he asked is like, all right, who here has a blank forearm and is willing to just get something crazy or cool today? And I raised my hand along with a couple others, and he ended up choosing me. So he sat me down during the seminar, and you know, it was such an incredible experience because I was there firsthand, not only watching but feeling and seeing all the techniques that he was doing. You know, I'm from Florida and we have a bunch of alligators here, so the first thing that came to my mind was, hey, I want an alligator skull, let's do that. And so he drew that on. He actually added a little golden tooth and a third eye, which makes it fun, I guess. So I like that one. Then shortly after that, probably, I think it was the next year at the same convention, Tanane Whitfield was coming back to town, so I reached out to him and I was like, hey, I'd like to book you for another session. Actually, my original intentions were for him to do this entire arm. So I asked him what he thought would be best, or what did he want to do most, and he's like, the pelican. Like, that sounds like a fun one. So here you have it. It's also my mom's favorite bird. She loves pelicans, so I guess if I'm gonna attach some meaning to it, it'd be for my mama. When I was in South Beach, I worked alongside someone that was just really good at portraits and good at color realism and stuff like that. So I went up to him one day and I was like, hey man, I really love your work. I'd love to get tattooed from you if you want to do some kind of portfolio piece or something like that. And he came back to me a couple days later. He's like, hey man, I want to do Jesus. And not only that, he already had it designed up. He had this lotus flower and these stained glass windows in the background and Jesus's face there. And I saw it. I was like, yeah, let's do it. So we sat down. And I remember just intently watching him, trying to learn as much as I can. And that was a really cool experience for me, and it really grew me as an artist. Next up, this is my newest tattoo out of all of them. I got my lighthouse here with a little DNA strand. The whole idea behind this tattoo is how we have the heavens or the space, you know, we have galaxies and nebula and all that, and we have the DNA going around it. So it's supposed to illustrate how God is so big and powerful and mighty that he created the heavens, he created the universe, the galaxies, everything. He's massive. But then again, he's so small in the sense that he has created every bit of our being, all the way down to every strand and piece of our DNA. You know, he's determined our eye color, how many hairs are on our head. And in the midst of that, of his magnitude and his attention to these smallest of details, he's incredibly personal. He's like a lighthouse that guides us on rough waters. He prevents us from shipwreck, just like the lighthouse does to sailing ships. So that's my, I guess, representation of my personal relationship with God and just how I see him, I guess. Yeah, good. Announcing the one you've all been waiting for. Yeah, this is my shark tooth. So crazy story behind this one. I mean, partially the reason I got it, not gonna lie, it's just the perfect shape to fit this space that I had on my wrist here. But awesome story behind it. So When I was living down in Fort Lauderdale, one of my favorite hobbies was spearfishing. Me and my buddy Jim, we used to go out and spearfish almost every week. One day we went out, you know, sometimes we'd go out by boat, sometimes we'd swim from the shore. This day in particular, we swam out from the shore. A good amount of fish that day, and what we used to do when we would swim out from the shore is we had like a boogie board that we kind of made a makeshift raft out of with like a kind of a cooler in it. It sounds fancy, but it really wasn't. Anyways, we would pile all our fish on top of that we would catch throughout the day. And as we were fishing, we were approaching the end, you know, we got a lot of fish on there and we were really happy with our catch, but we wanted to get one more like final good catch. But we were like, all right, let's just see if we can get some blood in the water to attract something bigger. So he went down, shot this fish. He took it off of his spear, and he's literally holding it in his hand. His spear is on the floor, or on the ocean floor, and he pulls the gills out of this thing. And when you pull the gills out of a fish, they bleed out like crazy. So there's a bunch of blood in the water, and I'm here just prepared, like looking around for fish, getting excited, because I'm like, all right, because usually when we rip the gills, there's some blood in the water. That's usually what attracts some, you know, bigger fish. So anyways, we're looking around, and then all of a sudden I can hear this muffled like yell from behind me, and I turn around and I just see Jim's eyes go big inside of his mask, and he does this. And I'm like, oh no. You know, I knew immediately that was the symbol for shark. So immediately my adrenaline starts pumping. He was behind me and I didn't see this, but I guess he was holding the fish by itself. His spear was on the ground, and this big, about 10-foot tiger shark comes directly at him. And if you don't know anything about tiger sharks, they're very aggressive. You don't want to find one of those in the water. And we're here stuck with it. No boat anywhere near us. We're probably about 1.5 miles, 2 miles from shore. I start looking around. I see the silhouette of the shark, and he's swimming around us, just swimming circles. So it came directly towards us, and you know, I had my spear gun just ready to go, pointed at it. Of course, I'm not going to shoot it because then I'm attaching myself essentially to the shark. But it would swim in towards us, and when it would come close, I'd give it a good poke, you know, with my spear gun, hoping that it would scare it off. And I poked him, and then he swam off probably about 20, 30 feet or so, but then it would start to circle again. So it came at me that first time, second time, poked it again, third time, poked it again. And at this point, I'm like, oh my gosh, this thing's not leaving us alone. Like, if we want to get away from this unharmed, like, we got to do something. Finally, he came in this final time. I believe it was the fourth time after circling us. And I punched forward with my spear gun as hard as I can, and you know, the spear probably only penetrated like an inch into this 10-foot shark. But I saw the trail of blood come out of the side of it, and it swam off very quickly. And at that point was when the fear set in, because now I injured this 10-foot shark that has now left my sight. Like, there's no more silhouette, there's nothing, he's gone. I don't think I've ever swam into shore as fast as I did that day in my entire life. And yeah, that's why I got this my shark tooth tattoo. So yeah, that's all my tattoos. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. Be sure to click the like button, subscribe button. Please support the channel, and just let me know any other content that you guys want me to bring. I have a whole list of videos that I plan on getting to, but if you'd like to add to that list, comment below. Let me know what you'd like to see, and I will bring it. Thanks.